Tonight, I'm going to be talking about primordial and awareness and the four bodies of the Buddha from the book Everyday Consciousness and Primordial Awareness by Trangu Rinpoche. There are three bodies of the Buddha. They possess four kinds of primordial awareness. And just a side note here about primordial awareness. It's frequently translated primordial wisdom. These are not two different terms. It's just two different English translations of the same word. And the Tibetan word is yeshe. So that's an important point. A lot of times it gets confusing when you have the same Tibetan term translated into different English terms, and it can get to be that you think there are more than one term, but it means yeshe, whether it be primordial awareness or primordial wisdom. So the first primordial awareness here that Rinpoche talks about is mirror-like primordial awareness. And this awareness knows everything, both the absolute truth, which is the true nature of dharmata, or emptiness, and also relative truth, the way things appear. It's called a mirror-like because a mirror reflects exactly what is placed in front of it. And this awareness also knows exactly what it is experiencing, both the ultimate and the relative. It does not elaborate. This type of awareness corresponds to the, quote, body of Buddha's qualities, end quote. This is another name for Dharmakaya. It is the same as Dharmakaya. Trangu Rinpoche uses a lot of technical terms in this and the next chapter. A third name for this, I've already talked about the body of the Buddha's qualities. Second is Dharmakaya. The third way to describe this is the body of qualities for one's own benefit. What this means is that the Dharmakaya consists of qualities. It is emptiness, and so these are qualities that the Dharmakaya possesses, but they are not solid things. The Dharmakaya cannot be perceived by other beings because it has no shape or form or color. Therefore, it cannot directly benefit others, since others cannot perceive it. So this is what is meant by the body of qualities for one's own benefit, that the Dharmakaya benefits oneself, even though you do not have a self at this level, but it cannot really benefit others. And the qualities that it possesses are excellent realization, excellent abandonment of what needs to be abandoned, excellent love, excellent knowledge, and excellent power of mind. These are, in Trangu Rinpoche's words, those qualities. Now, in order to teach and guide beings, a Buddha needs a form body. And the form bodies are called the Rupakayas. And the Dharmakaya spontaneously emanates these form bodies to benefit others because others can perceive these form bodies. The two form bodies are Sambhogakaya, which is the body of perfect enjoyment, and the Nirmanakaya, which is the highest emanation body. It's a physical body. The Buddha Shakyamuni had this Nirmanakaya, or highest emanation body. It was a physical body, a human body made out of flesh and blood. It was born at a certain time, had parents, and so on and so forth. Now, the body of perfect enjoyment, Trangu Rinpoche says, the enjoyment means that it enjoys the Dharma. Sunday, I gave a talk on green Tara from a book that Bokar Rinpoche had written. And there he talks about emptiness or wisdom, yeshe, wisdom, primordial wisdom, there is clarity, and there is bliss. And the Sambhogakaya of perfect enjoyment has this bliss quality about it. So it's more than enjoying the Dharma according to Bokar Rinpoche. He's not contradicting, it's just a matter of emphasis. Prangu Rinpoche is emphasizing enjoying the Dharma, whereas Bokar Rinpoche is emphasizing that there is just this bliss that comes from within that is not dependent on external circumstances. The clarity mentioned here has to do with this mirror-like wisdom, seeing the way things appear in relative reality very, very clearly, without error. And then the wisdom is related to the experience of emptiness and understanding emptiness. Now, perfect enjoyment is the total phrase, the enjoyment and a perfect enjoyment. I talked about enjoyment. Perfect means that it can perform any activity without exception in a perfect way. This Sambhogakaya only manifests to bodhisattvas that are on the bhumis. Another way of putting it is only manifests to beings that have pure karma. So us ordinary beings, we can visualize this Sambhogakaya form, but we really can't experience a Sambhogakaya form beyond our own creation. However, by putting effort into visualizing this Sambhogakaya deity, we are gradually developing a connection with the deity, and as we practice more and more, we purify karma, and we make ourselves gradually into a being that can experience emptiness and then can experience the actual presence of the Sambhogakaya deity. Now, the Dharmakaya teaches using the primordial awareness of equality and the discriminating primordial awareness. So this is how those two primordial awarenesses fit into these three bodies of the Buddha. The first way that this happens is what's called a knowledge transmission of the victorious ones. And this happens by whatever appears in the mind of an enlightened being will spontaneously appear in the student's mind. It is spontaneous and it is instantaneous. Again, the student has to be at a high level for this to happen. And then understanding is spontaneous. This takes good karma and it transcends language. The second way that the Sambhogakaya can transmit teachings to a student is, quote, symbol transmission of the awareness holders, end quote. The Sambhogakaya shows a symbol and the student understands the enlightened intention. This is done for bodhisattvas who cannot directly understand the Buddha's mind. They're not as advanced, or there is some karmic blockage here. So this method is used. In a lot of biographies of the great masters of the Kagyu lineage, there are stories of the deities appearing to these great masters and giving teachings or showing symbols, and then the master understands the teaching. And frequently will, you might say, write down something about what their understanding was that they gained. Now, the third body of the Buddha is what's called the highest emanation body. This is the physical body, like the Buddha's body. Nirmanakaya is another word for it. And it possesses the essence of the primordial awareness that accomplishes all actions. And the Nirmanakaya is able to teach beings both with pure karma and beings with impure karma. It's primarily done through speech. The teacher, the Buddha, or the deity in human form uses skillful means. For those that aren't ready to enter the Buddhist path, the Nirmanakaya will, you might say, plant seeds that will ripen in the future. Very simply, he teaches according to the needs and dispositions of beings. And it is said that there are 84,000 ways to teach the Dharma. And there are 84,000 ways to teach because there are 84,000 different styles of confusion in sentient beings. So skillful means this primordial awareness that accomplishes all actions, means that a Nirmanakaya can teach something to all sentient beings according to their particular style of confusion. The last here is the primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu, and this is the true nature itself, just as it is. I talked about this at the beginning, so now we're coming back full circle. This is, again, emptiness, and this includes the other four primordial awarenesses. They are not separate from this primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu. These four kinds of primordial awareness are connected with the three bodies of the Buddha. To just review, mirror-like primordial awareness is related to the Dharmakaya, equality, primordial awareness, and discriminating primordial awareness related to the Sambhogakaya, all accomplishing primordial awareness to the Nirmanakaya. And again, the primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu contains all of the other four. It is emptiness that is free of nihilism, thinking that nothing matters because of emptiness, and free of reification of emptiness, thinking that emptiness is a concept. Now, he goes into this, looking at this from another angle, the way these four relate to the primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu. So mirror-like primordial awareness appears because the form is experienced as naturally empty and primordially non-existent. And as such, then, it cannot be separated from the Dharmadhatu. So this is the relationship of mirror-like primordial awareness and the primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu. Equality primordial awareness is related because it sees all things as equal. It does not make distinctions of higher and lower. Discriminating primordial awareness does make distinctions. It sees things very, very clearly, sees differences. But again, it's not seeing things as better or worse because it is also combined with the equanimity or the equality. And the primordial awareness that accomplishes all actions is related because it's connected to our actions. That's how all of these are related to the primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu. The Dharmadhatu is free of all mental projections, confusion, delusion, the self and other or dualistic thinking, and its nature is emptiness. Now, from our perspective, which is from relative reality and the eight consciousnesses, we grasp at appearances, we solidify experiences and appearances. We suffer from dualistic grasping. And when all of this is purified, we then see the true nature, which has been there all the time, but we didn't see it. And of course, the true nature is emptiness. So this primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu pervades all three bodies of the Buddha. The body of qualities, or the Dharmakaya, is empty by nature. So is the body of complete enjoyment, and also the highest emanation body. All of these are naturally empty. Their essence is emptiness. And then there is a fourth body of the Buddha, and that is the Svabhavika Kaya. And English, it means the essence body. The reason why there is this fourth body called the essence body is that the essence of primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu is the essence of all phenomena. It is the essence of the three bodies, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, and it is the essence of all phenomena, quote, naturally abiding emptiness. So that completes that chapter. I talked about the rest of the chapter last week. Now I'm going to go to chapter 6, which is titled Meditation to Develop Primordial Awareness. So there are causes for attaining primordial awareness. To acquire the primordial awareness of equality, we practice lojong, or mind training. In order to practice mind training, we have to develop bodhicitta, which is the aspiration to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. With the mind training, then we try to develop positive mental attitudes. This enlightened attitude, or bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means awake in mind. Again, this motivation to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. So we have this motivation to ultimately benefit others as we travel the path. The next that is talked about is primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu. And to realize it, we need meditation. We need to develop one-pointed concentration. And needless to say, this primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu does not arise right away when you practice meditation. It takes a lot of meditation practice to have that occur, have it arise in one's mind stream. And there are a number of different methods that are used in Tibetan Buddhism that will enable it to arise and develop gradually. It doesn't all of a sudden jump up fully developed in our mind. It's little by little. Meditation, again, is a good start. Adding to that is, this comes from the Madhyamaka tradition, or the middle way philosophy. As I said, he has a lot of different terms in these two chapters. And through this approach, we use logical investigation and analysis. You could call it vipassana. By doing that, we gradually approach the Dharmadhatu, and we analyze appearances in depth. We look at appearances very deeply and over again. And eventually, if done properly, the realization arises, and this is an intellectual realization. Objects and phenomena do not exist from their own side, truly exist from their own side. They are projections of ours, and they don't have their own essence. They come into being due to causes and conditions, is another way of saying this. Also, to know the essence of one is to know the essence of all. And the fruition of this type of analysis is realizing that all phenomena are empty. No phenomena has an inherent self-existing identity or self. Ordinary beings become used to seeing things as having a self, possessing a self, and then outer objects being other and having a self also. Through this practice of analysis and investigation, you become used to seeing things as being empty, not having a self, and this helps dispel our habitual patterns about external phenomena. Again, this is based on inference, and the technique is, quote, using inference as the path, end quote. The next method that he talks about here for realizing this Dharma Dhatu primordial awareness is Mahamudra. And he also mentions the Mahasandhi. It's also Mahaati. It's a Nyingma practice that is very similar to Mahamudra. So here we have meditations that are based on the essence of mind. They're really quite advanced. The practitioner looks at consciousness and its essence and experiences it directly. This is not based on inference. This is based on direct experience. Look at things such as where is the mind located repeatedly. Look at what is mind and other related questions. And you come to realize directly through experience that mind has no location and it has no essence. And then as a result of that, you realize that the essence of mind is not present naturally, and it is why we talk about it as the mind being empty, being emptiness, or being the Dharma Dhatu, because you do not find anything. To go into Mahamudra more, he talks about looking at the mind while it is resting and looking at the moving mind. So the first method, looking at the mind while it is resting, this, you might say, is an extension of calm abiding shamatha meditation. You let your mind rest until it abides calmly in objectless shamatha. We're not focusing on the breath or another object of the senses. We just let the mind rest without an object of focus. Then you look at very precisely how the mind rests. You look at where it abides when it is resting. And you look at whoever is resting or whatever is resting, whatever is abiding. And this sounds like analytical meditation, but it's a very detailed examination of one's experience. If you would explain what you saw when you were examining, then you are missing the point. It is described this way, that a person who experiences emptiness is like a person that is dumb in terms of not being able to speak as opposed to being stupid. A person that is not able to speak, tasting sugar, they know they taste sugar, but they can't say a word about it. So that is what it is like experiencing the nature of one's mind. If you've had good pointing out instructions and your practice is good, you will experience it, but it's beyond words, and you can't express what you have experienced. This is called, quote, looking at the true nature of mind while the mind is resting, end quote. The next practice is to look at the mind while it is moving. So when we are looking at the still mind, it may happen that a thought appears in the still mind. When that happens, you look at your mind because now it's moving, and you look for what is moving. Where do thoughts come from? Where do they go? Where do they abide? Again, this is observation. It's not hypothetical. If done properly, especially over time, you come to the proper conclusion, which is that the movements of the mind are naturally empty, similar to the still mind, which is naturally empty. And you see emptiness directly. So this is a very brief overview of the process of Mahamudra meditation. Khenchen Trangpa Rinpoche talks about the Wangchen Dorje Karmapa. I believe that's the 9th Karmapa. His book, The Ocean of Certainty and Pointing Out the Dharmakaya, give more instructions on Mahamudra practice. But this is where he got these Mahamudra techniques from, those two books. Now he goes into talking about the two causes that allow primordial awareness of the Dharma Dhatu to arise in one's mind stream. there is the direct cause and the indirect cause. Now, it's important, I stress the word allow. It isn't that they allow primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu to enter our minds, is that they allow them to arise and us to be aware of it, because we have never been separated from this primordial awareness. It's just a matter of allowing it to come, you might say, to the point where we are aware of it. So the direct cause is found in both calm, abiding meditation and deep insight meditation, which is this looking directly at the nature of mind. The indirect cause consists of purifying negativity and increasing our positive experiences and realization. And of course, the way to do that is practicing Nundro. Practicing Nundro, we do purification with Vajrasattva. We go for refuge in the first practice. We confess our negativities. We make a mandala offering and accumulate merit. And through all of this, our mind stream is gradually purified. We accumulate merit, and our experiences and realization increase. So practice is extremely important. As we do these preliminary practices, trust and conviction in the Dharma and the teachers increases, that one's diligence increases, and this increases or intensifies our Dharma practice and the result of our Dharma practice. The creation stage practice of Yidam deities, this is an indirect cause. So I am going to finish up with a quote by Trangu Rinpoche at the end of this chapter. When the primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu reveals itself more and more in this way, the other four primordial awarenesses will naturally arise as well. That's the end of the quote. So due to the increase in the clarity aspect of primordial awareness of the Dharmadhatu, the other four primordial awarenesses will automatically arise. The question is, what is an indirect cause and a direct cause, and what is the difference? So the direct cause is to have calm, abiding meditation and deep insight meditation. And this would include the Mahamudra practices. The indirect causes are purifying our negativities, purifying our negative karma, purifying the obstacles to this primordial awareness arising, keeping it from arising. Also, an indirect cause is doing things that increase our receptivity to the teachings, increase our desire to practice, and so forth. So there's the direct cause, and they might say the indirect would be a supporting cause.